Are you looking for a map of an imaginary place or a real one? My colleague at the front counter can assist you with the latter. She sells maps to help you navigate the streets of this city, pass your geography test, impress your friends with useless knowledge of faraway lands, and such like. Any boring, mundane, practical matter that involves getting your bearings, she's the one to ask. If you would like a demonstration of the human imagination instead, I dare say I can be of assistance. I specialize in the synergy of cartography and headology, a fascinating field, highly experimental. Oh yes, like my colleague over there, I also sell maps. But my maps are of places that do not exist. Places that can be imagined into relative existence by whoever buys them. Like this one. Looks just like an unused piece of parchment, doesn't it? And I understand your skepticism. This could easily be a scam. But if you look closely, you can glimpse the enchantment I have weaved into it. Do you see the tiny sparkles that appear and disappear like glittering grains of blue sand? That's it. The enchantment is complicated, delicate, and carefully developed over several years now, and these prototypes have only been for sale for the last few months. You might think they're pricey now, but when the finished product comes for sale, the price will skyrocket, I can assure you. All of these are prototypes, yes, but they are in the final stage of testing, and I highly doubt that any more modifications will be added to the enchantment process. This is pretty much the finished product right here. Would you like a demonstration? Please take a seat opposite me and I'll show you. Look closely at the parchment in front of you and imagine that a map is drawn onto it. A landmass with forests, mountains, cities and towns, perhaps surrounded by an ocean. Or you can just sprinkle in some lakes and rivers here and there. There's no need to add in too many details at this point. The enchantment generally fills in the blanks. It just needs your imagination to get started. After that, you can leave it as it is, or shape it further with your mind. But for now, Just let your mind dwell on it and bring it to life. Don't try too hard, you'll only get stuck. It's okay if it takes a little while. You can look down on your slowly emerging creation like a god from above, and if you listen closely, you can hear it. A bustling city perhaps, or birdsong from a forest. There it is. Can you see it emerging? The land seems to be well developed. There's cities and infrastructure, but also bits of untouched wilderness. The people that live down there, what are they like? Is the land united under one government? Or is it a bunch of independent city-states, trading, or perhaps fighting over territory? It's up to you to decide. What do they believe in? Does magic exist in their world? Or is it a place of logic only? You can shape their history if you like, and see the surface of the map change over time as their society changes. You can watch over them and feel close to them, an invisible presence. Perhaps they can sense you as well. We can try another one, if you like. And this time, I would challenge you to make it more three-dimensional. Don't worry too much about color or detail. Try to pull the landscape a bit up from the surface of the paper. Try something rugged and mountainous, perhaps, and a smaller landmass, maybe an island. Bring it forth, give it life, movement, stories. That's it. I can see it too. A mountainous island. The middle part is flatter and good for agriculture. A small island nation. They don't have much land, so they must rely on the sea. Fishing must be important to them. Travel and trade as well. Are seafaring people and shipbuilders, no doubt. What are you imagining now? The sounds of the ocean aboard a ship. It's a nice ambience. The islanders must value their seamen very highly, but it's dangerous work by the looks of it. All the monsters you've added in the corners. Are you afraid of the sea yourself? Or did you intend to add so many sea monsters? Sometimes the maps can show you sides of yourself you were not aware of. Undercurrents in your own thoughts and feelings. Fears, desires, anything unfulfilled comes to the surface in the creative process. Some map makers might want to avoid it in order to shape their creations in a certain way. Others might want to explore this facet of my maps to its fullest potential. They might want to explore what moves in the depths of their own soul. If that sounds interesting, I recommend sleeping with one of my blank, unused maps under your pillow and see what emerges on it overnight. I should warn you though, this is a form of shadow work, and the creations it can produce might be as dark as the name suggests. Let's put these ones away for now. You could buy them if you want and continue to develop them. But to show you the full potential of my maps, why don't I create something next? Let me just get a new piece of parchment. Imagine another island, far from any land, green and lush, forested, all of it. It is inhabited, but sparsely. The population is very low, maybe just a few thousand. So let's say a couple of towns and a handful of villages. They're all hidden under the canopies and cannot be seen on the map. The island appears to be uninhabited. The people that live here tend to be on the short side and strong, well built. They might in fact have some dwarven blood in them. They've made this island their home, but haven't been here very long. A couple of generations at most. Before they came to the island, they were slaves. Whether they escaped or were set free, I do not know, but they chose to settle on this island because of its remote location. They wish to live here in peace, far from others, and be self-sustained. Some of them have innate magical abilities connected to the earth, and they are excellent masons and stoneworkers. The most talented among them make statues of guardian spirits and believes that the spirits live in the statues, or at least can be contacted through them. These are spirits of home and hearth, spirits of the land, spirits of protection, like Parnath, the white stag who roamed the woods long before the people came. His image is carved in white stone, set on a pillar at the entrance of every town. He helps travelers and prevents those with bad intentions from entering. And then there is Anya, the winged goddess who led them across the sea. Her face is carved into the island's central mountain. It's quite small and again hidden, but it is there. Anya still watches over her people. And in secluded courtyards and back gardens stands the statues of smaller spirits, the helpers and guardians of individual families. They come in all shapes and sizes and are given small gifts of food and flowers, and sometimes you can see that they have moved just a little, or their facial expressions have changed. Treat them well, and your home will be a happy one. I really like this map. It speaks to my fondness for far away hidden places. I often create islands. Would you like to see another one? This island is very small. That allows us to see much more detail. We can even see the windows of the buildings, and sometimes a mage or a wizard walking along one of the little paths. This island, you see, is a testing ground for young wizards. After many years of studies, they are sent here for their final exam. If they can navigate the island and solve its puzzles and riddles and avoid its traps, and in the end find their way to the far shore where a portal can take them home, then they will have proven themselves capable magic users. I'm not quite done designing all the trials and puzzles, but it's coming along nicely. The budding wizards must master all the elements to unlock new parts of the island and progress. I think I might add some reclusive inhabitants just one or two former candidates that did not succeed and got stuck on the island, and of course the ghosts of those who did not survive their trials. Treasure and magical items are scattered all around, some of them booby-trapped and some not, and the castle itself harbors many secrets. Look at that little fellow, a new arrival, walking along the beach. He looks a little nervous. What do you think his story is? Is he the first in his family to study magic? Or does he come from a long line of wizards and witches? Maybe the more prudent question to ask is, does he exist at all? I did not create him specifically. I created a world in which someone like him could exist. A few weeks ago, when I first started developing this map, he did not exist. But now, he's about 20 years old, by the looks of him. Maybe someone has imagined you and me into existence as well. Maybe I did not exist a month ago, except as a vague idea in the back of someone's mind. Thinking about it can make you dizzy. One thing is for certain. If the stories we tell each other did not have some bearing on our own lives, enchantments like the ones I have developed would not work at all. We have the power of creation within us, and with a bit of magic, the veil separating imagination and reality can become very thin indeed. Let me show you one more map. This is one of the oldest ones I still have. I've left it alone for months, and it has developed on its own. This was a wilderness when I first started working on it. And now look at it. A small boat with one small family came slowly up the river one day. The boat laid heavy in the water, for it was carrying all the family's earthly possessions. They settled down on a flat piece of land a bit up from the riverbank to be safe from the flooding. The first summer they lived in a hastily built lean-to. while they worked on a bigger house. The first few winters were tough, but eventually they had a nice little farmstead going. They went downriver to trade for what they could not make themselves, and eventually others settled down along the river. A small community grew. Years flew by. One generation grew old, and another took over. For them, centuries have passed. For me, it's been a few months, watching them, gently guiding them, helping them out when things started to go wrong, which they did a couple of times. They know. About me, I mean. They call me the guiding hand. They don't know who I am, of course, or that they are living on an enchanted map, and they still seek my guidance, even though they haven't really needed it for a long time. Their city is quite large now, as you can see. That big pillared building over there, that's the temple of the guiding hand. And the descendants of those first people who came in their little boat to make themselves a new home live in the castle on the hill. They are the rulers of the city now. Let me tell you one more secret about my maps. They were made to be used like you and I use them now, to create something living and changeable, something that can be shaped but also develop on its own, something to be watched from the outside. But you can enter such a map. It is possible through a sort of lucid dreaming. If you have mastered that art and sleep with the map next to you, you can enter its world for a little while each night. I have walked the streets of the city down there, dressed like one of them. I have traded, bought fine fabrics, glittering jewelry, and little trinkets that disappear upon waking. It is a charming city. The narrow, cobbled streets are filled with flowers and murals. There are little squares and side alleys everywhere, and festivals every month, reflecting the changing seasons. It's a wonderful place to visit. I'm glad I created it. What I have always loved about stories were the feel of them, much more than the plot or the characters. I love sense of place, a unique setting. That's what I've tried to recreate here. My maps have many stories, but the heart and soul of this whole project are the locations themselves. Rather than epic wars and exciting adventures, I want to enjoy the setting and ambience. To sit on a balcony as the sun sets and listen to the distant sounds of the city, or camping in a forest with birdsong, woodpeckers, and a babbling brook close by, or to rest in an underwater kingdom with corals and bubbles and distant whale song, and just let the feel of the place seep into me, calm my nerves and nourish my soul. I create little escapes from the everyday drudge, something half real that you can hide in whenever you need it. And I hope that other people will find it as helpful as I do. I have actually created something that I needed and missed myself. I'm sorry for rambling on. I have plenty of blank maps for sale, big and small. My own creations are not for sale though. Those are far too personal. But you can have the ones that you started on for a slight discount if you would like to keep working on them. And don't let anything limit you. You can create whatever you want. Just let me know if you're interested, now or later. I'll be right here whenever you need me.